From 9-year-old Andrew Hockensmith, who called 911 and protected his sister after his parents were murdered inside a Danville, Kentucky pawn shop.
I almost look alike.
Look like your dad?
And my mom.
And your mom?
Well, in September, a triple homicide stunned the small community of Danville, Kentucky.
Police say a local pastor, Kenneth Keith, came into ABC Gold Games and More pawn shop there in Danville and shot the owners, Michael and Angela Hockensmith, along with one of their customers inside the store that day, Daniel Smith.
Also inside that pawn shop were the Hockensmiths' 2 children. Their 9-year-old son picked up his little sister, covered her with his body, and called 911 for help.
WHAS11's Alex Schumann sat down with family members and Andrew. Alex?
Doug, Andrew does not talk much about that day to anyone, and that's not what this story is about. The family invited us to show a side of Michael and Angela that we hadn't seen, a couple rooted in faith and how their mission in the past is shaping their son's future.
This church, Ferguson Baptist, plays an important part in the Hockensmith family. But for the last few months, no member of the Hockensmiths has attended a service here.
Heaven is rejoicing.
Until Sunday, February 2nd, where you could find Andrew Hockensmith waiting.
He said he wanted to finish what Daddy started.
Christ will strengthen you in everything you do.
Andrew's dad, Michael, wanted to be a pastor. Here he is preaching his first sermon at Ferguson Baptist.
Never going to talk to him and say, well, I ain't got time for you right now. I've got to work overtime.
Where his best friend now leads the congregation. Michael served as a youth minister. He was studying at Clear Creek Bible College to lead a church for himself someday.
And he was in the process of finalizing his last credit to get his credentials when all this happened.
Police say a different pastor, Kenneth Keith, shot Michael Hockensmith, his wife Angela, and a customer at their pawn shop. Andrew was there. He protected his sister and was the one who called for help.
He sat there and watched them kill his mom and dad right in front of him. And her begging for her babies. I can't see how anybody can do that. It takes a cold person, a very cold person, to do that to a mother.
Andrew now goes back and forth between his 2 sets of grandparents. They work with him to find ways to cope with their loss.
Honestly, my opinion, I think Andrew's handling it better than I am. He tells me all the time, Mom and Dad's in a better place. I said, yeah, the only thing they would change is that they miss you and your sister. He said, yeah. And he'll have a smile on his face.
His grandparents did not realize at first the effect the past few months had on Andrew's faith until he woke up 1 week before this service.
He was just calling me.
Who is he?
Jesus.
And what was he saying?
It's time.
He had had a few bad days, and then he says, Satan's trying to take me, and God's trying to help me. And he says, I need to see if I can get baptized.
It was a choice.
Andrew wanted to be baptized in the church his dad loved by his dad's best friend as the first step in a long journey to finish the path his dad and mom started.
And I was like, whew, that's cold. When I first came in that water.
He joined God's family partly to be closer to his own.
Why are you excited to make this choice?
That way I can be in heaven.
Why do you want to be in heaven?
I'm going to see Jesus first and then my parents. And it's kind of a sad story.
A story both his grandmothers intend to let him finish.
He wants to finish what his mom and dad started, by all means. We'll make sure that it happens.
And they will, because if you ask them, there is nothing more important to this family than their belief in God and their need to go home.
The Lord are searching to and fro.
Andrew is very involved in the churches he usually goes to with his grandparents, but he is also not forgetting to be a kid. He spends a lot of time playing Mario. Reporting live, Alex Schumann, WHAS 11 News.